Hello and welcome to Experts Corner. This is Maheen Jaffrey. Tonight we're going to be taking a look at the latest situation between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Pakistan has of course drawn a red line again, saying any terror attack happening from the Afghanistan side will be met with full force, and also that is going to end the ceasefire. In a press briefing, DG ISPR very clearly mentioned that Pakistan has always fought a war against terrorism and will continue to do so, and there's going to be no talk held with the terror entity, any terror entity. Also, he said that security is not achieved by appeasement and requests, and that Pakistan has got all the right to defend itself. Talking about India, he has warned that India is planning another false flag operation in the deep sea as well. But to that, he said Pakistan will respond with full force and in a much more fierce way. We're going to be taking a look at the options that Pakistan now have in terms of assessing the threat from TTP, and in case if the ceasefire breaks, what could be the options. Second, very interesting, New York mayoral elections that are well underway. And also we know Zohran Mamdani is leading the polls. He's a young Democrat, rather let me say he's the youngest ever in the history of America, and he calls himself a socialist. Not only he has the support of the worker class, but also he has got massive support from the progressive groups. Donald Trump seems to not be liking him a lot, and he has said in case if Mamdani wins, then there's a danger that the funds would be cut for New York. We're going to be taking a look at the outcome of these elections. What if Mamdani really wins? How would be the challenges that he might be facing? Is it just a lip service? Is it the campaigning, or he really means to achieve those goals? Because practically it seems a bit tough. For further analysis, we have been joined by in-house expert Mr. Farrukh K.Pitafi, and online we have Asif Durrani, former ambassador, former Pakistan's special representative for Afghanistan. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Asif Durrani Saab, a red line drawn from Pakistan again, and we know 60% according to DG ISPR of the terrorists that's been killed are Afghan nationals. Do you think that the Taliban are complicit in these attacks, or do you think the Taliban are not able to control these terrorists? What is actually the reality? What's going on?
Well, it's a mixed picture. They are complicit as well as they are incompetent. Both could be the reason about their inaction towards the TTP, who are taking sanctuaries in Afghanistan. Pakistan has clearly said it, and umpteen times it has been made clear to the Taliban regime in Kabul that for us, TTP is the red line. And then, as you may recall, Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif had said you have to choose between Pakistan or TTP. So these red lines have been, in fact, clearly drawn up, and it is now up to the regime in Kabul to decide about that, what kind of a relationship they want with Pakistan. Yes.
So we've multiple times engaged with the Afghan leadership, not just bilaterally but multilaterally as well, on international forums as well. We all know how Pakistan has supported Afghan Taliban right from the beginning. But now, do you think, now that DG ISPR has said there is going to be absolutely no talking with the terror entities, do you think that talking to them or having a dialogue with them in order to engage them was a strategic mistake from the beginning of Pakistan?
Well, I can quote you one example. When I go for lecture, invited and anywhere, and when I ask, when the topic is Afghanistan, and when I ask how many of you support Taliban system in Pakistan, no hands are raised. So this is an ample commentary. So our mistake was very much there. We shouldn't have done it. But we don't like for ourselves. Why would we go for that for Afghanistan? So this was our biggest mistake, and I think we should not commit that, one. Secondly, now that the Taliban are a reality in Kabul, and we also had some joint, common history in the recent past. So there are ways, because diplomacy will have to be given a chance, and for that you have to display patience as well as we have to persevere. There are no shortcuts, and TTP, yes, they are holed up in Afghanistan. Their leadership is very much there. They plan in Afghanistan and then they execute in Pakistan. They have a system whereby they straddle the border. Of course, our security forces are taking action, but a lot to be done from the Taliban side. Excuse me. And this would require, you know, just for the moment, we have to take Pakistan-Afghanistan border as a hostile border for the time being, till the time we can neutralize the TTP coming from Afghanistan. And at the same time, we have to go whole hog against the TTP cadres inside Pakistan. And that would also require, you know, a host of measures in order to smoke out these TTP people who are taking sanctuaries inside Pakistan. And then once we take that, I think it would also break the back of the TTP hold up inside Afghanistan. Yes.
Right. Ambassador Saab, you're right about the need for operations. And when we look at the numbers, they are quite interesting. In 2024, there were 14,500 IBOs, killing 769 terrorists. This year so far, there have been 10,100 IBOs and 917 terrorists have been killed. Yet, these activities continue. Now, I understand when you talk about Pakistan, but there was a ceasefire and there was an interim ceasefire extension until 6th of this month. Today is 4th. What do you think happens on 6th? And do you see anything constructive coming out of Istanbul?
I wish I had the crystal ball to predict about that, but it's difficult. The reason is, but yes, Pakistan has put pressure. Hopefully, something positive would come out. As you may have seen that in Istanbul, the statement issued by the Turkey's Foreign Office did refer to verification and also about penalty for violation. So this is something, it has come in the Turkey's statement. We would wait this kind of a written understanding given by the Taliban regime. This is what was asked for from the Taliban delegation, and this is what they were reluctant to give in writing. So this also shows a kind of a governance problem with the TTP and also with the Taliban regime. They are highly centralized, and Mullah Heptullah actually he clears each comma and full stop in a sentence. So Taliban are at a loss that they cannot commit themselves, and this is what one has seen in both in Doha as well as in Istanbul. So let's keep fingers crossed as far as this statement, written statement is concerned, in which required assurances are to be written in black and white. Yes.
Durrani Saab, also we know that TTP has got massive and huge support when it comes to, the cultural linkages, the language. How would we make sure the Pakistani side has presented evidence, irrefutable evidence to the world? It has shared intelligence reports with the world of how these are interlinked, how they are given local support. How would we make sure this time that this problem is taken care of?
Well, it's not difficult. I would refer to UN Security Council reports about the presence of Taliban. In fact, the Security Council has declared that TTP is the largest terrorist group taking sanctuary inside Afghanistan, and then followed by ISKP and others. So it's it's quite obvious. And Afghan Taliban, they have been trying to deny this, that there is no presence of TTP inside Afghanistan, but they did not do that either during the Doha talks or Istanbul talks, or say when I was special rep for Afghanistan, they never denied, and rather they were requesting for funds so that they can relocate these TTP cadres away from the border, almost close to or inside Ghazni. So this is something they may be playing with the galleries. They think that its admittance would show them in bad light. But this is not the case. In fact, my suggestion would be to the Afghan Taliban would be that rather if you are faced with the problems, you should rather, in fact, ask Pakistan to help you. And Pakistan would be ready not only in tackling the TTP terrorists, but also other terrorist groups such as ISKP or Al Qaeda, or for that matter, ETIM and IMU. Pakistan has been rendering this assistance in the past. So here, I think Afghan Taliban have a choice. So let's hope the good sense prevails. And they also convince themselves that it is a danger for them also.
Ambassador Saab, last time when Taliban were not in power, and there's a reason why I keep on asking, requesting you to actually speculate on certain aspects, because you have the kind of domain knowledge or experience that nobody might have. Now, the question is regarding the, terror and criminal nexus, particularly poppy cultivation. Last time when Taliban were in power, it was said that they went after poppy cultivation. And then even after they lost power, they actually had a stand on that. But now we are told by DGIS, ISPR and State of Pakistan that there is a nexus between poppy cultivation and elements that might be smuggling drugs and TTP. So that all of that is happening under Taliban, Afghan Taliban's watch. What is the solution to that, sir?
I don't think if I haven't seen what DGISP has said, but as far as poppy cultivation is concerned, there was a drastic cut. And in last year's UNODC's report did talk about reduction in poppy. Of course, the Taliban were quite disappointed when in the UN dialogue in Doha around June last year, they were saying that we have cut down on poppy, but the crop substitution is not coming forth. The international community is not helping them cope up with the losses farmers have been incurring. So here on the poppy side, I think they did take action, but it's just not poppy these days. Our so-called heroin is a thing of the past. Now we are talking about ice, and I always forget its chemical name, but ice is very much there. And Afghanistan is a transit country, and don't forget that Afghanistan has been a heaven for the smugglers. And here, I think Afghan Taliban will also have to look at their ideology. That they think that they are an Islamic ideology country, or they are their actions are according to the tenets of Islam, but they are quite comfortable vis-a-vis smuggling, which is in fact harming, say, their neighbors through these smuggled items, including narcotics. So they have to take drastic action. They just can't use religion to promote their rule or to convince the people who are not so familiar with the religion. And I can also assure you that majority of the Taliban, perhaps they may not be able to offer to know the prayers. They have just grown their beard, and their appearance looks like a Taliban, which everyone can identify, and they are dreaded. So here, I think a lot has to be done. A lot has to be taught to the regime in Kabul, both diplomatically as well as professionally on different ministries. They don't have technical people. They all have left. So I can also sympathize to to an extent that right now Afghanistan is only ruled by the mullahs. So that's not enough. Mullahs, yes, they are respected. They may offer, religious solutions to the people, but they have failed to offer other issues or other economic. They have failed to resolve the economic problems. So that's unfortunate, and don't forget that Taliban rule is synonymous with poverty. So right now, poverty graph has increased to 97, almost 97%, including over 50% people who are actually dependent on international assistance. If that is not forthcoming, so people may suffer more, and perhaps they may decide to leave the country. And that is also dangerous for all neighbors, especially Pakistan, because then again Pakistan would be a favorite destination to rush. So these are myriad challenges we all are facing, and therefore a comprehensive approach would be required, which should be more loaded towards diplomacy, but also, yes, if there's a need, kinetic operations can be taken, intelligence-based operations can be taken against those terrorists who, in fact, want to dictate their agenda through power, through guns. Yes.
Right. We were talking in detail, as we know that there is a pressure, diplomatic pressure from the international community as well. Doha talks, Istanbul talks, and clearly no workable solution right now. 2 days and ceasefire would end as well. After all these efforts and after the security operations, if these terror attacks continue to happen, how do you see the entire process transpiring? What is the option with Pakistan, and what would be the contingency plan of military?
I think that would be unfortunate, and that would be, you can say, failure of the process. Right now, we have two respectable, distinguished friends of Pakistan and also Afghanistan. I mean, Turkey and Qatar, they are involved. They have offered their mediation, and they are conducting very actively. And it was, in fact, in deference to Turkey's request to Pakistan that Pakistan delegation had to stay on. Otherwise, they had almost left for the airport. So that's why this gap has been given till 6th of November. And hopefully, and then, of course, the Turkey's statement, which acknowledges about assurances to control terrorism, and then also in fixed responsibility and penalize those who will be in violation. This gives me hope that I think something verbally has been agreed to by the Taliban side. But whether they are forthcoming with the written assurances, I'm not sure yet. Let's keep fingers crossed and let the principals, because the statement also talks about the meeting of the principals on the 6th, which I presume would be at the defense minister's level. So hopefully they can break the ice. And if there are logjams at the professional level, at the technical level, so that can be removed at the political level, which is the defense minister's level. Yes.
Right. Ambassador Saab, on one side, of course, we are keeping our fingers crossed. We are hoping that things improve and some breakthrough is achieved. On the other side, we keep on saying that the space is further vitiated. For example, this edict for, building a dam on Cunard River, and especially then India's offer of helping the Afghan Taliban to weaponize waters there as well. Do you think that this is just a knee-jerk reaction, or it is a long-term vitiation of the space between the two countries, and this polarization will continue?
I think then the Afghan Taliban side will have to dust off those files regarding the negotiations which were initiated during Ashraf Ghani's time and on about the distribution of water. And then we shouldn't forget that if at one place the Afghan side is an upper riparian, then at Chitral, Pakistan is an upper riparian. So therefore, Afghanistan is not in total advantage as far as water is concerned. And so let's see. And then if India tries to help them, if it is based on talks and agreed, there's an agreement as far as water distribution and share in water is concerned, why not? We have had this Indus Water Treaty, which was based on sharing of water, and that is still there, but India has withdrawn from that. So weaponization of water is not a good policy, and when we claim we lead for non-weaponization of water flow, so I think the same would apply as far as Pakistan and Afghanistan is concerned. A fair share is possible.
Yeah. Ambassador, since you actually mentioned Ashraf Ghani's negotiations, could you explain whether those negotiations were with India or with Pakistan? And if it was with Pakistan, was there any kind of proposal to this problem? Because of course, water is going to be an important issue in coming days, no matter what happens.
It was between Pakistan and Ashraf Ghani government. India was not involved in that because we have to first have a regime about distribution of water. Later on, its uses and how, whether they store water or they build dam or they build run of the river, they use it run of the river, or they want to produce power, hydropower, run of the river is a possibility on which even Pakistan did not have objection to India as far as run of the river utilization for electricity purposes. So experts can resolve that. It also depends on the political will. And let's hope that Afghan Taliban, they also see the reason. But here, I think it's better to be left to the professionals. I'm afraid that in Taliban regime, there's a dearth of professionals. So that may stall the processes, whether it is at the political level, diplomatic level, or for that matter, further technical discussions. Let's hope, keep fingers crossed. But yes, at the moment, if Afghanistan and India, if it wants to jump in, then I think they will be doing that at their own peril because Pakistan will have a stand as far as water distribution is concerned, and it has to be based on justice.
Since we're talking about India, how do you see, as we heard DG ISPR saying that India is planning a false flag operation in the deep sea, and of course India wants Pakistan to be engaged on both sides. How do you see Pakistan being engaged on both these sides?
I think already DG ISPR has very clearly stated that they will be responded to, and they will be responded with much more forceful way as compared to their Indian action. And yeah, India, they have been talking about, ever since this ceasefire began from 10th of May, they have been talking about this Sindoor, quote unquote, Sindoor 2. So they are welcome. We are ready. They have tasted their quote unquote their victory, and then now the international jury has already given its verdict. So I don't want to dwell on that. And Pakistan has proven its military prowess, its mettle, and it has been acknowledged at the international level. Yes.
Absolutely. Ambassador Saab, I'm glad that we are talking about India's attitude as well, because every time India, you shine a light at what India is doing, immediately it is like a comic strip like attitude, or cartoon like, all of a sudden it freezes. But the moment attention shifts, it starts doing exactly the same thing and again and again. On one side, India is facing a lot of headwinds because of the tariffs and President Trump's criticism and whatnot. On the other side, they seem to get these sudden boons as well. For example, Chabahar, the sanction on Chabahar was lifted at least partially for a limited time. They think that India will continue to try to use it to undermine Pakistan, the Chabahar-Kabul route, so that Gwadar and Pakistan can be undermined?
Well, the 6 months extension from the United States, I don't want to discuss that. India may have had pleaded for that, and which the United States granted to them. But as far as Chabahar is concerned, let me assure you, this port they tried to build to bypass Pakistan, to reach out to Afghanistan and Central Asia. I can assure you this is not an economical project for the Indians, which is why that till date, Indian private businesses have not utilized the Chabahar port. Why I say that? If they begin from the Kandla port, Gujarat, to Chabahar by ship, then they come from Chabahar, they go to Zarang, which is the border, Afghan border, and from there they go to Dilaram, the mid of Afghanistan, and to Kabul. It's a journey of 18 to 20 days. And the perishables would not survive the shell, even for a day. As compared to Wagah to Kabul, it's a journey of just 2 days. So compare 2 days to 20 days. It's not economical. Certainly not economical. It's going to cost India, in transport terms, almost 30 to 35% more. So, and Indians being the Banyas, they are, and they calculate, dimes and pennies. So that's why. Let me also add here. They donated 50,000 tons of wheat to Afghanistan. Taliban came, and when they realized that taking it through Chabahar is quite an expensive, project. So therefore Afghanistan had to request Pakistan to allow Indian wheat cross through, which we allowed. So here, I think almost more than half of the wheat, transited through Pakistan as a one-time special case. So here, and we have already given access to the Afghan products via Wagah. But of course, Indian products cannot go via route land because the land route, because there is no agreement between India and Pakistan as far as transit is concerned. And another thing which I want to, bring into the knowledge of your viewers is that India has till date not applied to Pakistan. I requested Pakistan for access. Land access from Pakistan to Afghanistan and beyond. So therefore, Pakistan is not obliged. It was during Karzai's time when I was posted there, and then subsequently, the Afghans were demanding, and Indians were using their shoulders for this transit facility. But they themselves would not come forward. Why? Because then Pakistan would seek reciprocity, going to Nepal, going to Bhutan, going to Bangladesh. So there's no free lunch. We have to negotiate that.
Asif Durrani, former ambassador, former Pakistan special representative for Afghanistan. Thank you for joining in and your insightful comments on the latest situation between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Farrukh K.Pitafi, I'll be coming straight to you. What do you think, your comments? We have had a detailed discussion with Mr. Asif Durrani, quite insightful comments. Yeah. How would you comment on the entirety of this segment?
Thank you very much, Maheen. First of all, one thing that is very crucial to understand that in the past we have made mistakes, particularly in 2021, when we started all of a sudden to think that we can cut deal with Afghan Taliban or TTP. Afghan Taliban, of course, now they are essentially in control of a state. That becomes a different thing. But with TTP, I am really grateful that there is so much clarity this time that we are not going to, have any kind of deal with any terrorist until they don't surrender, right? That is very, very important, and clarity was needed. I think that on the military side, everything is being done. Unfortunately, on the civilian side, we haven't been able to keep up with the kind of fight that was needed. One example is look at today's media. You keep on switching entirety of Pakistani media. Nobody would be helping the state to build, counter-terrorism narrative.
Yeah,
Why
absolutely.
would that be? Because many of those people have still not shaken the idea that somehow TTP are not bad guys, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that is one thing. Then, of course, is the matter of what transpires day after tomorrow. And of course, the two countries which are actually helping us out, while there have been many speculations about them that they might have changed this or that, I can assure you that they are the most trusted allies and they are going to help us
Absolutely.
out.
And they've been playing a very
And
positive role.
one
Yeah,
more
yeah,
line
please.
regarding India also. I think India's mentality is such that India might seem that it knows the world, but now because of the ignorance of their ruling elite, they are further destroying the image. And even if they try to play Afghan Taliban, which shouldn't allow themselves to be played, but we will take care of them as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Farrukh Kpitafi. I totally agree to your comments. There was not much clarity in 2021. There were a few mistakes made by Pakistan, but now since TTP is in the equation, Pakistan says very clearly that there is going to be absolutely no negotiations, no talks being held with these terror entities. And of course, Pakistan is going to defend its motherland at all costs. And also, now we'll be discussing and taking a look at the second segment, which is about the New York mayoral elections. It is gaining traction. The videos are going viral. Zohran Mamdani is leading the polls. He's a young Democrat calling himself socialist. To talk and have an analysis more about this mayoral elections that have gained so much popularity, we have Mr. Khurram Shehzad, political analyst from USA. Thank you very much for joining in.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Khurram Shehzad, first of all, we know that the popularity, that the interest of the public that has, the traction, the videos on social media making rounds, viral videos. Why do you think is it happening in the first place? We know that he's the youngest in American history to be vying for such posts. What is your comment?
Sure. Before I get to the New York race, in Virginia, we have a Muslim candidate who's going to be the first ever lieutenant governor in Virginia, state of Virginia. She's Muslim. But there's no attention to it, even though Virginia is on the border of Washington, D.C., which is the capital of the United States. Now, going back to New York, why it is so significant when it comes to Mamdani? Why everybody is so threatened? President Trump has given him many threats, saying that they will restrict all the federal funding. Whatever is required will be given. The rest of the funding will be restrained from the state of New York, city of New York. And then foreign prime minister, Israeli prime minister had threatened him that they will squeeze all the support in the city of New York. Why it's so significant in the New York? So actually, Mamdani is not a candidate; it's a movement. It's a movement against those powerful houses which has been controlling the city of New York for the last 100 years. And those are obviously, I'm pointing towards the Jewish establishment here in New York. There are five boroughs in New York. We have Brooklyn, then Manhattan, then we have Staten Island, Bronx, and Queens. These five boroughs have 8.5 million people, and the powerhouse goes to the Jewish of Brooklyn, who was actually controlling the politics in New York. This is the first time somebody has challenged that status quo in the city of New York. This is actually the threatening. So this is why we see Democrat Party, Republican Party, both parties are not are trying to isolate from the Mamdani, the Senate and Congress, even though the federal government institutes, they are actually threatening Mamdani. And one of the guy has already arrested for terrorist threats to Mamdani. So it is so much happening to the state of New York because of a movement which Mamdani actually led. And here I wanted to mention one more thing to the viewer and listeners, that the young Jews, across America are supporting Mamdani. So this is alarming for the establishment here in Brooklyn, especially the Brooklyn, where majority of the Jewish are actually residing, Brooklyn and Manhattan. So one of the biggest city in America is going to be changed. One of the biggest city in dense population will be changed after Mamdani come into the power. They have tried their level best to find something against Mamdani to bring him down, but they couldn't find anything. Within his own party, Comio, which is one of the leading contester, and he's the former governor, he tried his level best to defeat him in the primary. He couldn't defeat it. Now he's coming as independent. Republican, obviously, he doesn't have any chance, but he will break some of the votes for Mamdani. But so far, polls are saying that he's leading and he'll be coming as a landsliding victory in New York. This will be a game changing for the youth in New York, especially when the house market is not able to control by the Eric Adams, who is the current governor, and then the economy itself, and the third part is the immigration itself. So those three components and the healthcare, these are the major components which Dani took the lead, and he's actually proving the movement that is going to the right direction. Now, why everybody is threatening? Why President Trump is threatening? Why the congressional and the leadership are threatening to Mamdani? Because Mamdani is bringing a new idea in the political dynamics of U.S. politics. He is bringing the economy first. He is bringing the local issues first. He is bringing the people's priority and people's choices first. So this is something very alarming for the establishment, because establishment believes in taking care of the political matters, foreign affairs, and all those things away from the people. But this is the first time Mamdani brought the idea of this is going to be the people-centric. They brought the Muslim part of it, even though he's from Uganda, but they brought many aspects of Muslim that he support anti-Israel movement. He support the the other movement related to LGBT, those kind of things. They brought many things to isolate him from the Muslim community, isolate him from the other Christian and Jewish community. But none of those things work, because the economy is a major factor in this election, and this is why we see the movement.
Indeed. Khurram Sahib, thank you very much for a very comprehensive answer. Let me actually ask you about two things. By the way, you mentioned Virginia's race. I don't know whether Pakistani media is covering that or not, but President Trump particularly mentioned Ghazala Hashmi, although not by her name, but he did criticize her in one of the protests that actually took place. But regarding Mamdani and his race, now the question at this moment is, while he is a Muslim, you have spoken about his lineage as well, but his platform, particularly the promises that he makes, freezing the rent or so many other things like construction, other creation, housing problem solutions as well. Do you think that most of those solutions are workable, because the right or the conservatives keep on saying that left does not have the kind of capacity to translate their promises into reality?
Sure. So this is a good question. The opposition, the Republican Party, even the Democrat Party, they're raising the same question. How are you, if you free the buses, if you freeze the rent, if you bring the free medical facilities, how are you going to support the funding? Where the funding will come from? So he has brought up the idea, which has been implemented, but the money has been flowing out of the state, out of the city. So he kept those idea that the money that we will raise from different taxes, different federal funding, they will go into these programs, which make the buses free, which makes the rent freeze, which makes the medical facilities free for those people who qualify. So those funding, he already has calculated the formula of the existing system, and then since the system was existing, but it was never implemented the way it should be implemented. So he wanted to revise the system. He wanted to bring the system up front so that it will be implemented in the favor of people. So, and everybody, believe me or not, people are very aware in the city of New York. These are 5 boroughs, 8.55 million people. They are very much aware of the existing problem, and these are the only problem. They're most, you can say that rule of thumb that 80% of problem is coming from these 20% sources. So these are the people who are actually suffering with these issues. So when they see the hope, they are actually going for it. And he has the formula. He has in his all his debates, these things brought into the discussion, and he defended and he presented the idea. So when it comes to the voter attention and buying the vote from youngsters, especially, and the people who really go out and vote, these are the ideas actually flourishing all over the place. Economic and stability and the ease in the people's lives, especially the lower middle class and middle class. And another factor is the Section 8. They call it, the people who live below poverty or the struggling neighborhoods. They have many issues related to the housing and residence and the medical care. He brought up the revision of those policies and procedures in the city of New York, which is actually going to be the solution. And people have been talking those solutions all over the time, but nobody had implementation because of the corporate culture. The bigger corporation, they never wanted to have their money go away from the city of New York. And this is the first time they see in the modern history that Mamdani is bringing up those ideas back and wanted to implement to save people from whatever is happening in the corporate world.
Since you said he's not just a person, he's a movement himself. His campaign has been very lively, talking about affordability and things that Farrukh Pitafi mentioned. How do you think his campaign highlights US political divide? How does it highlight the cracks? Also, tell us, how does it highlight the US democracy system?
If you see the New York City, it's the hub of it's a Wall Street. It's the heart of U.S. Economy. And we see the foreign delegates are coming and commenting on Mamdani. We see the Prime Minister of Israel is coming and giving the comments on Mamdani. We have seen the Indian Prime Minister giving comments on Mamdani because Mamdani said that the Gujarat genocide. His family is one of the victims of one of his family. Few of his family members are victims of it. The same goes with he mentioned his aunt Islamophobia. So all those international issues that he has brought it up is actually aligned with the people's everyday experiences. So with the foreign, when they say, will you go to Israel? He said, I will stay in the state of New York. I will not go anywhere else because this is my place. This is where I wanted to serve the people. So when it comes to foreign policy, he has been aligning the interest of New York before he go into the foreign affairs. But on the other side, if you see the Democrat Party, if you see the Republican Party, within his own Democrat Party, they are attacking him from left and right. The same President Trump yesterday he said that he's a communist. When there's somebody asked about Mamdani, he said that he's the left wing socialist. They say, oh, he's not a socialist. He's a communist. And somebody said that he's very extreme in his idea, just like you. He said, oh, he's the extreme in my idea, but he's not as beautiful as I am. So he actually tried to divert the actual topic of the discussion. So my point is international issues are aligned to New York because New York is the central hub of Wall Street, the stock exchange, and the heart of economic activities in America. Anything happened in the city of New York is actually internationally affected. So therefore,
Absolutely. Khurram Sahab, one more question, which is a two-parter, because we have been so far focusing on one candidate, that is Zohran Mamdani. But on the other side, Andrew Cuomo is also returning, and last, when we looked at the numbers, he was actually minimizing the lead that was there. Is there a possibility of him actually springing a surprise? And secondly, when you talk about Silva, his candidature is amazing because before this we knew him as somebody who was a strong man who would actually use his force to compel people or minorities to do things that they did not want to do. What does it tell you about Republican Party's range of candidates there? Because we heard in the general elections that President Trump got a lot of votes from New York as well.
Sure. The Andrew Cuomo, he's the real contestant for Mamdani. The other guys, the Republican guy, New York State is all Democrat. It's a Senate, it's the state, it's a local state, a local Senate. It's all statements. They're all Democrats, so therefore Republicans don't have any space there. Other than he will be breaking some of the Mamdani's vote. On the Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo is former governor. He has very much influence when it comes to money, people, and lobbying. He has done a lot. But when it comes to bringing the votes, there are 56 media houses in city of New York. 53 are tilting towards Comeo. So this is why we see the bias in polls. This is what we see the people are saying, oh, the Comeo is getting close to Mamdani. People, the polls are getting close. All these narratives, all the those bigger media houses, they're trying to portray that Mamdani is Comeo is getting close to Mamdani. Actually, it's not the case. If you look into the other poll.
Right, thank you very much. Khurram Shehzad, political analyst, joining us from USA and letting us know the on-ground realities there, the race that is going to be unfolding. We are talking about Andrew Cuomo, and we are also talking about Zohran Mamdani. Really broken all the laws, who's really come up not as a person but also as a movement. Farrukh K.Pitafi, how would you comment on that? Yeah. Because it's very interesting. For the first time we are discussing this.
Yeah.
And though there are other contenders, but we are talking about him.
Look, one thing that is sure, and I see the parallel that is being drawn between President Trump and Mamdani, because both have used the overwhelming power of social media to connect with people, the kind of disruption that you wouldn't see, right? But President Trump had this huge advantage that he was already a known celebrity. He used to have his own show, he was a billionaire, and he was well-known quantity, right? When it comes to Zohran Mamdani, he seems to have really sprung a surprise. And I think that one thing that is very crucial to understand, media and international media especially, because they are given to the voices from Israel or India, or their propagandists who actually want America to look bad, they keep on saying that it shows that America is just not reconcilable. But the truth is, it is the beauty of democracy that you have every kind of voice. Now, socialism, I tell you one thing for sure. There was a reaction, there was a desire to show some kind of working model of socialism in America, democratic socialism of, AOC kind, right? But we didn't see that so far. So if there's going to be a system that is welcome, because in the end, there's going to be a dialogue between the two systems. The biggest problem so far is that socialists, whenever they come to power, especially in America, they don't leave behind a good working model. This time, if they can, they will be an asset.
Do you see this time?
No,
is he giving
the problem is that he has, double whammy. A, he is Muslim. B, he is also a socialist. So if he becomes mayor and then fails to deliver what he promised, it is going to be a liability for both. But if he delivers, then Democrats also get some kind of future, because at this moment, Democrats are really struggling for an identity.
And another quick question, since you were drawing parallels between Trump and Mamdani. Don't you think it has got something to do with the campaigning that he has done, other than the fact that he obviously is not, a celebrity, but the campaigning was very strong, connecting to people?
This is what I was saying, disruption.
Yeah.
The way he could stand up and speak anywhere. And this has been one of the assets of President Trump also. As long as camera is there, he will speak. And he will find a way that camera cannot cut off. Right? So whatever he will say, right? So the power of engagement and disruption is on display. I hope in coming days, New York gets a better future.
Well, thank you very much, Farrukh K.Pitafi, for this detailed analysis of the New York mayoral elections, where Zohran Mamdani is obviously leading the polls, and he's not just a person, he's a movement as per our analysts, and they are saying that he has actually disrupted the system, he has actually connected to masses. That's why he's gaining so much popularity. Let's see how it unfolds. This is all for tonight's show. This is Mahin Jaffrey signing off.